What is up, people? Today I am reviewing Thor Ragnarok in 4K, and I will have that coming up for you guys next. So Thor Ragnarok just came out last week on Blu-ray and 4K, and like I promised, I have the reviews for you guys. And to start off with the Blu-ray, just because that's why I always start off, this movie looks astounding on Blu-ray. It looks really, really damn good. You get a whole lot of detail here, especially in that fight with Hulk versus Thor. You guys all know it's in this movie. It is all over the posters and everything, and it looks incredible. You know, you have the dirt flying up, and you have all of, like, the wear and tear on Thor's armor, and, you know, speaking of Thor, he gets a whole new set of armor in this movie, and they all look great and very well represented here. You got white and black levels looking astounding, and you just have a whole lot of detail. I have been impressed with Marvel's Blu-rays in the past couple of years, and hey, this one is really it's really something really good. I wouldn't consider this reference quality material, but it is right up there. One thing that I will actually say about this Blu-ray, though, as a negative, is the CGI looks very cartoonish, especially at the beginning when he goes up against that hellish character, you know, the demon guy. Anytime that you see him, you can just glaringly tell it is screaming at you that they are not in the same frame. And yeah, that's just something that I've just grown to accept about this movie. Not the best CGI work here at times. And for that, I do have to give it a solid 8 out of 10 on the Blu-ray. I do feel like it is good, but with that CGI, I just expected a little more, especially for this movie's budget. And now to get into the 4K Blu-ray of Thor Ragnarok, and to give you guys a little bit of specs on this, this was actually shot with a 2K digital intermediate. So this is an upscaling from that 2K digital intermediate, but it looks astounding. This 4K Blu-ray, I wasn't prepared to look as good as it did, and it blew me away. I mean, for one thing, the best thing that I can possibly say about this 4K Blu-ray is something that really doesn't have anything to do with HDR, which surprises me. But the depth that is here blows the Blu-ray out of the water. There is so much depth on this 4K Blu-ray that I didn't notice on the standard Blu-ray. It really struck me, and it stuck with me throughout the entire film, and I can't stress enough how much depth is here to see. With that, you get even more detail, and, you know, like I said with Thor's suit, you definitely get a whole lot of smudges and all the dirt and the grime that gets on him. You know, Thor gets his ass beat a couple of times in this movie, and each time you can just see the wear and the tear on him, and it looks really great in 4K. Now getting into HDR, I will say that it definitely helps out with the CGI. That was a complaint with the Blu-ray. It is not so much of a complaint here. I do definitely notice that the CGI isn't, you know, the greatest, but I can tolerate it here, where on the Blu-ray, I really had a problem with it. And the part that I noticed the HDR the most is really when you meet Hulk. Hulk here has never looked as good, and his shading and the coloring on him has never been this vivid and really striking. And I just feel like that is the result of the HDR here. So kudos to you guys at Marvel for that one. And for that, I do have to give this 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray a 10 out of 10. It is a really strong reference quality disc. So next, we're going to be getting into the audio of Thor Ragnarok, and hey, you guys will not want to miss it because I get to talk about Dolby Atmos again, and you won't want to miss it. I got it coming up for you next. So to get into the audio of Thor Ragnarok, you have the usual Disney Marvel shenanigans going on where on the standard Blu-ray you have the DTS HD 7.1 mix, and on the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray you get the Dolby Atmos mix. I will just say that the DTS 7.1 mix, it's hefty, it's bulky, it is loud and in your face, and I really like it. I don't love it, but I just like it. And I feel like that's where Marvel kind of falls with me with their audio mixes. I haven't had a lot of chance to talk about it, but I'm left wanting more with a lot of them, and this is no different. And I want to just talk about this a lot more in the Dolby Atmos mix, but I will just say that this 7.1 mix, at times, I wanted more heft. And I wanted this to, hit me in the face even more. And for that, I do have to give this a 7 out of 10. I'll give it a 7. It isn't that bad, but it could be better. Now, getting into this Dolby Atmos mix, this is something that I definitely want to talk about here. I want to talk about signal frequencies and really, high points, mid points, and low points. The low points here are really solid in Dolby Atmos, and you'll notice that specifically with the bass response here, it definitely hits those low points. Mid points are okay. I will say that a lot of the higher points really get reduced to midpoints, and I feel like this mix should definitely hit harder than it does with the Dolby Atmos. And that is because those high points that I talked about here, they don't really hit as much as you want them to hit with a Thor movie. This is Thor. This is the God of Thunder. I want to feel the thunder. And I don't. Just listen to the scene where Thor escapes Planet Hulk, or whatever they call it. I forget at this particular point in time. But if you check out that scene and really listen to it, you will experience like a lackluster bass response from this thing. I want it to kick. I want to feel it, man. Give me something here. And I don't feel it, and I just feel like I was just kind of getting pulled along on a mediocre Dolby Atmos mix. And for that, I do have to give this a 7 out of 10. I didn't feel this one as much as I wanted to. So next, I'm going to be getting into the special features of Thor Ragnarok, and you won't want to miss it because I have a lot to talk about there. And I got that coming up for you next. So getting into the special features of Thor Ragnarok, I was able to pick up the Best Buy Steelbook edition of this particular release, and I just wanted to go over it with you guys real quick to show you guys what you get. Now what we have here is the Steelbook Best Buy edition of Thor Ragnarok, and this is what the very saucy Steelbook cover looks like, and then when you flip it over, this is what it looks like here. Very cool. And then when you open it up, you have this, but to get the full effect, you really do have to take these discs out, and when you do, you have the Thor versus Hulk scene. Now, along with this, you also do get a digital download code that if you use on Vudu, you actually get the 4K Dolby Vision version of Thor Ragnarok. I wasn't able to check that out, but I just wanted to verify that with you guys. That is how you can see this movie in Dolby Vision. Now, getting back into the special features that are actually on this disc here, you get a pretty funny director's commentary with Taika Waititi, and you know, this guy is really funny, and he was all over the ads for this movie, and he's really funny here, and it is a more entertaining audio track than actually insightful. I don't really feel like I learned a whole hell of a lot from Taika Waititi, but at the same point in time, I just enjoy listening to the guy, so it was a pretty good audio track. Now, along with that, you get a whole lot more of Waititi here, because you also have the option of going into an introduction to the movie from Waititi that is like 2 minutes long. And along with that, there is also a featurette that goes into him voicing Krog. That's that rock character that's in the movie. And basically, it's just like a short featurette that goes into him voicing that CGI character. Now, you do also get a very short featurette that goes into Zakar. That is the planet, you know, me just reminding myself from the audio commentary, that goes into, you know, that planet and a lot of the different details. And along with that, you also get a featurette that goes into Chris Hemsworth and what he wanted to bring to this particular Thor performance. And this movie does have a lot of kick-ass women, so Hela and Valkyrie, those actresses are here, and they have a short dialogue about their roles. And, you know, you get your typical Marvel short here as well. You get some deleted scenes, you get some stills. This is the typical Marvel, you know, special features that have a little bit of a flair to me just because of Taika Waititi. And I really like the guy. I want to check out more of his films. And again, a lot of these are not on this 4K disc. They are all on the actual Blu-ray. So, you know, I have been knocking Marvel for that and other studios for that, and I will knock this for that as well. And for that, I just ended up coming out with a 6 out of 10. So I do have to get into my last looks and my overall scores for Thor Ragnarok on Blu-ray and 4K, and I got that coming up for you guys next. Guys, Thor Ragnarok is one hell of a good time. Even when you're not at the movies and you're just watching this on your home theater, you're going to have a whole hell of a lot of good time. I think that this one is going to be one of my most watched Marvel films if you come and talk to me over the next couple of years, just because I have such a good time with this movie. I mean, Thor, he was so dour in that last one. And this one, he's got life. You know, Thor got his groove back in this one, and he's so funny. You know, Chris Hemsworth, he's a funny guy. Just let him be funny. Don't just bring him down with the freaking melodrama. I really like the return to form that this movie has for Thor, and just the balls that this movie has to take it where it goes. I do know that it is very Guardians, but at the same point in time, they do change things for Thor, and I made a video on that if you guys want to see it, but I've grown to really respect what they did to Thor to really change his character up, even though I don't think that they're actually going to stick to all of it, quite frankly. Thor will get his hammer back, goddammit. If you didn't watch my movie review, you can check it out. I gave it a 9 out of 10. And as for the Blu-ray of Thor Ragnarok, it got a 30, and the actual 4K Blu-ray got a 32 out of 40. But I forgot to do something on that audio commentary, and that is give Marvel and Disney a come on, man! Because I didn't like that freaking Dolby Atmos track. Even though that this 4K Blu-ray got a better score, it was because of the video. Because the audio, that Dolby Atmos audio, was not up to par. I feel very passionate about Disney and Marvel and their audio tracks. And yeah, this was the one that I really showed that to you guys on, quite frankly. But next, I do have to get into Hell or High Water's 4K presentation. I did promise that to you guys, and I do have that coming up for you, along with Coco, and I'm going to be doing the Justice League, and I got The Shape of Water, and along with The Shape of Water, I have a little bit other of the Academy Award movies coming up for you guys as well. I picked up some of those discs, I watched them, and I'm going to be reviewing a couple of them, and I'm going to be switching things up for those, so you guys definitely stay tuned and see what I'm going to do for those. And always, guys, thank you for watching my videos. You guys are great, and I will see all of you next time.